Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. My name is Victoria Nobuya, music producer, music technologist, sound engineer, composer, and songwriter based in Nairobi, Kenya. Glad to be here and taking a long break from doing this due to some unavoidable circumstances, but now I'm back. You'll have to bear with me. I'm not yet gotten enough machinery to be able to do this setup, but soon we'll be improving. Today I'm back with another lesson about our music industry, and today I'm going to be talking about licenses in the music industry, helping you as a musician, as an artist, producer, composer to understand how to monetize your music and how to protect your intellectual property from copyright infringement and also from being used illegally by other people, and also monetizing your stuff. So today on the licenses in the music industry, we're going to be talking about licenses that don't just cover Kenya, but cover generally the whole world. Uh, in Kenya, mostly people concentrate on the small things, but there are so many avenues in which you can be able to make money and also protect yourself. These licenses are there to protect you as a composer and help you govern the usage of your music and also receive enough compensation. This is in terms of monetary value in this moment for every work that you do. Uh, and there are so many licenses. We have mechanical, sync licenses, performance, master recording, print licenses, compulsory license, and grand right licenses, together with sampling licenses. These are very important licenses in the music industry. Just straight away, we are going to start with the mechanical license. These ones, they allow a licensee to be able to uh, copy and distribute a copyrighted song as either physical or digital recording. This one works well for all labels, even individual artists, generally called indie artists, independent artists, and deals mostly in terms of streaming music on platforms like Spotify, uh, YouTube Music, Deezer, iTunes, and also apart from that, on the manufacturing of CDs, vinyls, records, and even also other streaming services. Mostly vinyl records nowadays, they're not so much popular, and they're not everywhere because rarely do people listen to CDs or use vinyls, but they're actually popular among a class of people who just love enjoying the physical stuff. And royalties for these licenses are mostly received by the songwriter, publishers, and artists in the case of having agreements where everyone has been placed on the agreement in terms of split sheets. And it's very important to know this license so that whenever you're going to these distribution sites like DistroKid, Emu, CD Baby, you understand that you have to have your split sheets correct on these licenses so that whenever royalties start coming from your streams, you start making something out of it. In Kenya, we have companies like MCSK. There is a CMOs that are put up to be able to collect these mechanical licenses on behalf of Kenyan artists and musicians. The next license we're going to talk about is synchronization license. This is actually one of the highest paying licenses in the whole world. This one generally it is enables synchronization of your music or media on movies, TV shows, commercial video games, or online videos. It should be one of the highest paying because nowadays the best place to sell your music is either on TV or on video games because that's what most people are doing nowadays. And this one is generally for the film soundtracks, sound design, television show background music, advertisements, and also, as I've said, video games can be either for phone, for computers, or PlayStation. And the royalties are paid generally to authors and publishers for these compositions. So it can either be classical compositions, it can be pop music, it can be instrumentals, it can just be vocal music, choir music. As long as it's licensed through this sync, you can be able to make money as long as it is used in movies or televisions. And the next license we're going to talk about are performance licenses. This is the most popular. around, where the license allows a performer to uh, receive from any performance of their music that is done live. And as long as the music is copyrighted, whether it is recorded or it's played live, you can be able to make money from it. And mostly it's used on radio broadcast when the music is played live, live concerts, uh, live recordings, live streaming services, of course, for example, like YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, public venues, of course, bars, clubs, churches, restaurants, and the royalties are collected by performance rights organization. In Kenya, we have PRISC. That's what collects for most artists and producers. But internationally, when your music is used internationally, performed internationally, we have agencies like ASCAP, BMI, or SESAC that who are able to collect your royalties worldwide. So even as you're in Kenya doing your music, as long as it is selling out there and you have registered with these agencies like ASCAP or BMI or SESAC, you can be in Kenya and earn from your music outside the country comfortably. And then it is remitted to, as a usual, songwriters, publishers, and artists who have their music licensed. The next license we'll talk about are master recording. This one is generally for producers and record labels. Um, it authorizes the use of a specific recorded version of a song, and it is separate from the composition. So we have the composition on one side, and then we have the master recording. They have the composition, which is just raw, and the master recording, which has been edited, mixed, mastered for distribution. So these mastered recording are owned by the person who paid for the session or someone who actually did the session. In these terms, it will mostly be the producer. In Kenya, it will be the producer. Outside, mostly it is always recording labels. They own the masters to the recording. So these fees are transferred, as you've said, to the recording owner, which is generally the studio owner or the record company or artist. And these licenses are important for people who want to use the maybe to sample a part of the music somewhere, or want to use that same master to record another project. So that's why majority of the time you see in the industry you'll find sometimes music sounds the same. Someone might sample someone else's beats. A good example currently would be Dua Lipa. If you, for most of you have heard her music, if you are keen enough and you're someone who loves the oldies, she's really sampled a lot of sound from the golden oldies or from the golden days in the 80s and the 90s. Those are R&B and rock music and rock and roll kind of stuff. Um, the next license we'll talk about are print licenses. This is for composers, those who write sheet music for choirs, for performances by orchestra, whether it is pop music or it is just personal composition. This one gives permission to a licensee to reproduce uh, and distribute printed sheet music, so they can transcribe the music into sheet, that is notation, staff notation, which can be performed by choirs and also orchestras and also other big bands. And it is also can be used to teach in schools. These sheet music sells educational books and the reprints. And this is paid to, of course, composers, songwriters, and publishers, and also transcribers. The next license we'll talk about is compulsory license. There's a very big trend of doing cover songs all over the world. So it is very important to have this license so that you can protect yourself from being given a copyright strike. I'm sure for those who are in YouTube, there's some songs you want to do cover, but you're hit with a copyright strike because you've not licensed that project. You've not asked for a license to do that project. So it allows anyone to do a cover song after it has been published, subject to certain guidelines and royalty payments. So you can do a cover song and actually receive royalties from that cover song, but of course it will not be as big as compared as to what the owner of the masters or the artist or the record company owns. And it is mostly, as I've said, cover versions of songs. They are paid to both the songwriter and the publisher. Then the next license is grant rights license. This is generally for theater people, people who do who involved in performing arts. And we all know in Kenya, performing arts has not been really given that much concentration, but it's something that is coming back again, and people don't make so much, but outside there it's very big for those who know about Broadway. This one, this particular license deals with the theater productions and only grant permission for the licensee to perform a musical work within theatrical settings. So for musical, operas, recitatives, plays, the those kind of stuff, you know. And these royalties are generally just negotiated one on one. Like for example, if I want to perform music by Nyashinsky at a play in Kenya National Theatre, I negotiate with him one on one. He can either to decide to let me do it for free, or I have to pay him for me to use that in my adaptations, especially in the case that this is going to be recorded for future references. Okay. Then the last license we'll talk about a sampling license. For this is generally for beat makers and also producers. Before using someone's sample, please make sure you check out this license. It's very important. Sampling someone's voice, sampling someone's previous recording. So someone might play a guitar online and then you take that sample and start using it, and it is not has not played this person has not placed it as a free copyright, meaning that it can be used by anyone. This is the purpose of this is to give permission to use part of an existing audio recording in a new song. This is generally for people doing Afrobeat, hip hop, electronic music, trap, drill. That's the kind of music currently that is doing a lot of samples. This one will be paid to the composition owner or the owner of the masters. So make sure before you sample any music, you beat makers or people doing projects outside here, don't sample something until you have received this license. Okay, and this license they just help give you permission to use other people's projects without having necessarily to how do I put it, without necessarily having to be stricken given copyright strikes, and also protect you from people using your stuff unnecessarily. You need to be protected, and you need to know these licenses so that you don't make mistakes that we made those days when we were just getting into production. Otherwise, please get time to learn. This is just an overview of what happens in the industry, but there's so much more to it. And as we keep going, we'll be giving more lessons and more helping people to understand more about this. But otherwise, thank you for listening. I hope you do this has helped in